Welcome to the TourAI Podcast. Close your eyes for a second and imagine this. You're in Europe, surrounded by history, beauty, incredible food, but, you're not fighting for space on some packed street or waiting forever just to snap a photo. Instead, you found this quiet corner, a place that sort of feels like it exists outside the whole peak tourist madness, where you can actually connect with how life really moves there. Is that something you crave? Maybe you've already done the big capitals, seen the famous stuff, and now you're thinking, okay, what's next? Maybe something, I don't know, slower, more personal, more real.
Yeah, that feeling, the desire for something more authentic, it's definitely growing. People want experiences that go beyond just the postcard view, right? They want to get into the heart of a place. And
Exactly.
you see it with the well-known spots. They're grappling with over-tourism. And it makes sense that travelers are actively looking for these, well, unspoiled alternatives. Places where it's more about soaking it in, not just ticking a box.
And that idea, that search for a deeper, maybe more soulful connection, that's exactly why we're doing this deep dive today. We're digging into some really interesting research, this report that flags Europe's best hidden gems for 2025. Our goal is pretty straightforward. We want to walk you through this list, pull out the best bits, the places that really offer that slower, more meaningful kind of travel the report talks about. Think of this as your essential travel guide deep dive into Europe's less trodden paths.
And the source we're leaning on for the TourAI podcast today is this great article in Forbes. It breaks down the findings from the European Best Destinations Report, the EBD. And what's really important here is that this list isn't just, random. It comes from votes, actual insights from over 1 million travelers. They're the ones pointing to these places as genuine, unspoiled alternatives, promising an escape from the usual tourist routes.
Okay, so our mission is clear. We're going to explore these 10 amazing spots. We'll pull out the key travel tips, the things you absolutely have to see, and really get into why they made the cut as hidden gems, according to this big report. We want to help you figure out what makes each one special, especially if you're someone who values authenticity, unique experiences, and maybe, just maybe, a bit more peace and quiet on your travels. Right, let's dive in and unpack these European secrets.
What's really fascinating, I think, is the why behind this whole report. It's positioned pretty directly as an answer to the over-tourism problem we see in so many famous places. The report basically says, look, the big cities and landmarks are always going to be popular, sure, but the real, maybe overlooked magic of Europe that's often found far away from the biggest crowds. These hidden gems are framed as these unspoiled alternatives, specifically for that slower, more soulful travel.
That really hits home for a lot of travelers now, doesn't it? I mean, we've all seen those photos, or maybe even been there shoulder to shoulder trying to see a painting or crammed onto a train. This list feels like an antidote. It seems like it's built for the traveler who's maybe a bit tired of weaving through selfie sticks and just wants to experience a place for what it is, not just as a backdrop for 1,000 Instagram shots. It feels like a proper invitation to wander off the main drag, find a different travel rhythm. Precisely. And the value proposition, as the source puts it, it's got a few layers. First, it's authenticity. Finding places that feel genuine, lived in, not just polished up for tourists. Then there's escaping the crowds, which naturally lets you connect more deeply, with the place, with the locals. The report strongly hints that their relative remoteness, the fact they're maybe a bit trickier to get to than flying straight into Paris or Rome, that's actually helped preserve them, kept that true magic alive.
Yeah.
And you see the criteria sort of woven into how they describe these places. They talk about picturesque villages, stunning hill towns, quiet seaside spots, medieval hamlets surrounded by nature.
So this report and what we're doing with it here on the TourAI podcast, it's basically giving you a curated menu. If your travel goals are about dodging lines, finding real local connections, and just soaking up some beauty and peace away from the main tourist flow, it's about finding Europe's secrets, places that haven't quite hit that tipping point yet. Finding the real pulse. Exactly. And the report kicks things off, interestingly, in Italy. But not the Italy everyone immediately thinks of. No Rome, no Florence, no Venice on this initial list. Instead, it points us towards 2 spots it calls secret, picturesque Italian villages. Each one offers a different flavor of Italian life away from the throngs.
Oh, Italy's secret spots. Love that.
Yeah.
A perfect starting point for hidden gems. So number 1 on the list is Bosa in Sardinia.
Yes, Bosa takes the top spot, and the source gives this really vivid picture. It's on Sardinia's west coast, about 2/3 of the way up the island. And uniquely, it's actually inland a bit, built on a small hill along the Timo River. They mention it was founded way back in 1112, which immediately tells you there's some serious history soaked into the place.
And the first thing you notice in any photo, the thing the source really highlights, is just this explosion of color. The houses are painted in these bright, cheerful shades. It's such a defining look. But like you said, there's more than just the paint. For travelers, the key things are getting lost in that historic center, wandering those old alleys. Then there's the medieval Malaspina castle up on the hill, amazing views, plus that feeling of stepping back in time exploring it. And if you need a break from history hunting, the nearby Bosa Marina Beach is right there for some seaside relaxation.
And the travel tips are key here, because getting to Bosa isn't just a quick hop. The source says you'd fly into Alghero Fertilia Airport, which is on Sardinia. Then it's about an hour's drive, roughly 55 kilometers. They even specify the roads, the SP49 and SP105. That need to actually drive yourself a bit, navigate those regional roads, that definitely adds to its hidden feel. It's not on the main tourist conveyor belt,
Yeah.
which helps keep it special.
And the food. Sardinian food is so distinct from mainland Italy. The source points out some must-tries. Porciudu, that's the traditional roast suckling pig, famous for super crispy skin and tender meat. Sounds amazing. And for something sweet, Sidas, these little pastries filled with fresh cheese, fried golden, then drenched in local honey. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And they say you absolutely have to try the local wine, Malvasia di Bosa. These aren't just meals, they sound like real Sardinian experiences, right? A proper taste of the island.
Totally. If we connect this back to the main theme, Bosa offers this genuine slice of Sardinian life, away from the maybe more crowded, resorty coastal areas. It's the combination, isn't it? The visual punch of the colorful houses, the deep history you feel in the town and the castle, the unique food and wine, plus that slight barrier to entry needing the car journey. All those things together make it a classic hidden gem. It feels like a place doing its own thing.
Okay, moving to the second Italian spot on the list, we land in Nesso on Lake Como. Now, most people hear Lake Como and think, George Clooney, grand villas, maybe Bellagio's busy waterfront. Nesso sounds different. Quieter, maybe?
It really does offer a contrast. The source describes Nesso as being defined by its geography. It's actually split in two by this dramatic natural gorge with a waterfall, the Orido di Nesso. It's on the western branch of Lake Como, and the report specifically praises its authentic charm. That's a key word for these gems.
Split by a waterfall? Wow, that alone sounds incredible. Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. A village literally built around nature's drama. So for travelers, the highlights seem to be wandering those historic stone-paved alleys. You can just imagine the atmosphere. Then there's this ancient Roman bridge, the Ponte della Civera, that crosses the gorge and gives you great views of the waterfall plunging into the lake. Sounds like a perfect photo op. And obviously the waterfall itself is the main event, the heart of Nesso's unique landscape and appeal.
And similar to Bosa, getting there adds to its charm. You'd fly into Milan Malpensa, a major airport, sure, but then you've got about a 90-minute drive, maybe 75 kilometers, using the A9 and then the SP583 road along the lake. The fact you need to drive those winding lake roads rather than just hopping off a main ferry contributes to that feeling of discovering something a bit more tucked away.
And the food there is all about the lake, naturally. The source mentions specific local fish dishes like misoltini. Those are sun-dried shad prepared traditionally. And risotto al pesce persico risotto with fresh perch. Sounds like it really highlights the local connection to the environment, using those fresh ingredients. Probably quite different from the menus in the bigger lake towns.
Yeah, analyzing why Nesso's on this list, it's clearly that unique, natural setting, the gorge, the waterfall, that's pretty special, especially for Lake Como. Plus, the preservation of the old stone paths and the Roman bridge keeps that authentic charm factor high. It gives you the beauty of Lake Como, but in a smaller, much less intense package than the famous spots. It really embodies that idea of an unspoiled alternative. It's Lake Como, but felt on a more human, local scale.
Okay, so from Italy, the report really bounces around Europe, showing just how diverse these hidden gems are. We're shifting gears completely now, heading from Italian villages to a remote volcanic island out in the Atlantic, then a famous Spanish village, and even a Bosnian spot known for something really spiritual. It's quite a mix.
It really showcases the variety. Third on the list is Corvo Island in the Azores, Portugal. The source immediately sets a tone of volcanic solitude, describing it as an invitation to peace and reflection. Corvo is the smallest island in the Azores, which is already an archipelago known for its pretty dramatic volcanic scenery, fishing villages, green fields, and those famous blue hydrangeas everywhere.
Volcanic solitude sounds like the ultimate getaway if you're after peace and quiet and just raw nature. The big draw for travelers, the main natural feature they mentioned, is the caldeirão. It's this huge volcanic crater collapsed in on itself with lakes and little islands inside. Sounds absolutely majestic, perfect for just soaking in the quiet and the geology of the Azores. And then Vila do Corvo, the island's only village, gives you that glimpse into traditional island life, contrasting with the wild nature.
Now, getting to Corvo really underlines its remoteness. This is key to its hidden status. You can't just fly there direct from London or New York.
Yeah.
Typically, you fly into Ponta Delgada on San Miguel Island. That's the main Azores hub. From there, you have to catch a smaller regional flight specifically to Corvo Airport. It takes a bit of planning, right? But once you're there, the island is tiny, only about 17 square kilometers. So getting around to see the Caldeirão in the village is easy, mostly on foot or with limited local transport. That scale really adds to the feeling of stepping away from it all.
Island food, especially remote island food, usually has its own unique thing going on, tied to the sea. The source mentions caldo de peixe. A traditional fish soup makes total sense, and biscoitos de orella, described as traditional biscuits. Simple, traditional taste, reflecting island life.
This place really prompts the question for the traveler, doesn't it? Are you looking for dramatic landscapes and a genuine escape? Corvo appeals to someone wanting that deep immersion in nature, someone willing to make the extra effort to reach somewhere truly remote and quiet. Its volcanic features, its tiny size, that feeling of being far out in the Atlantic, it offers a unique, almost elemental kind of travel, the absolute opposite of mass tourism.
Okay, next we swing back towards Spain, to Albarracin. Now, this is a place that often pops up on most beautiful villages in Spain lists already, so maybe slightly less hidden to some, but clearly still special.
Yeah, Albarracin definitely has a reputation, but maybe not the huge international crowds of, say, Barcelona or Seville. This report confirms its gem status. It's tucked away in the hills of east-central Spain, perched really dramatically above the Guadalquivir River.
And visually it sounds stunning, like it's frozen in time. Key things for travelers. Those huge medieval walls, the Murallas de Albarracin, that snake around the hillside. Amazing. Then you've got the ruins of a Moorish castle, an Alcázar, clinging to a cliff top, a real link to Spain's history. The 16th century Cathedral del Salvador is mentioned too, with its bell tower built on even older Romanesque foundations, shows the layers of history. But the source really emphasizes the narrow, winding streets and those distinctive pinkish-red buildings. It just paints this picture of somewhere incredibly historic and picturesque. Imagine wandering streets that feel like a movie set.
Getting there definitely takes some effort, reinforcing that hidden gem factor. You'd likely fly into Madrid, a major hub, right? But then it's a pretty long drive, about 3 hours, maybe 280 kilometers on the A2 and A23 highways. Being that far from Madrid means it's not just a quick day trip. You have to really plan to go there, which helps keep the atmosphere special, I think.
And food-wise, the report points to regional dishes. They suggest trying ternasco, which is roast lamb, popular in that Aragon region, and migas, fried breadcrumbs, often with chorizo and garlic. Rustic, flavorful stuff. Sounds like a real taste of that specific part of Spain.
Albarracin's appeal is definitely its incredibly preserved medieval look and feel and just how visually stunning it is. That mix of Moorish and later Spanish history you see in the castle ruins and the cathedral, plus those unique pink buildings and the old walls, it creates a really immersive atmosphere. It's a deep dive into Spanish history and culture, all within this incredibly beautiful, relatively secluded village setting.
Our fifth hidden gem takes us somewhere completely different again. Blagaj on Buna in Bosnia-Herzegovina. This sounds fascinating, combining natural beauty with something quite spiritual.
It really does stand out.
The Blagaj
Is officially an historic village and a protected heritage site, so its importance is recognized. It's located in the southeastern part of the Mostar Basin, an area known for its landscapes and history.
And the absolute showstopper, the thing everyone associates with Blagaj, highlight in the source, is the Blagaj Tequila. It's a 16th century dervish monastery, but it's the location that's breathtaking. It's literally perched right at the foot of a sheer cliff next to this incredibly vibrant turquoise spring where the Buna River just bursts out of the rock. The report actually calls it one of the best kept secret places in Europe and talks about its serene setting, perfect for quiet thought and photos. It sounds incredibly peaceful and visually powerful.
What's fascinating here is, how history, spirituality, and nature just come together so dramatically yet peacefully. The Dervish monastery isn't just old. It's a living spiritual place with centuries of history, and its existence is totally tied to that amazing natural setting of the Buna Spring. It creates a really unique atmosphere, historic and tranquil.
Okay, practicalities. Getting to Blagaj usually means flying into Sarajevo International Airport. Then it's a drive about 2 hours, maybe 130 kilometers, mainly on the M17 highway. So it's reachable by road from a major Bosnian city, but it's not exactly a quick day trip from, say, Western Europe. That definitely contributes to it feeling like a place you intentionally seek out.
And for the local food experience, the source suggests trying classic Bosnian dishes. Things like cevapi, those grilled minced meat sausages, usually served with flatbread and onions. And burek, the savory pastry, often filled with meat, but sometimes cheese or spinach too. They present these as essential tastes of the local culture.
Blagaj seems to offer this really unique blend. You've got the history, the spiritual calm from the monastery, and that stunning natural beauty of the river spring against the cliff. That image is unforgettable. It sounds like a travel experience focused on peace, reflection, and just appreciating how humans and nature can exist together so beautifully.
All right, continuing our journey through these hidden gems, the next set offers yet more variety. We've got another Spanish village, then a Greek island, and finally a town over in the UK. This part of the list really shows different kinds of European charm, from medieval vibes to car-free island life.
Okay, first in this group is Rupit, back in Spain, but this time in Catalonia. It's described as a charming medieval village that captures the essence of medieval Europe. High praise.
And it seems to live up to it. Looking at the features for travelers, you arrive and immediately see the cobblestone streets, the old stone houses. It really does feel like stepping back in time. The report highlights something iconic, a hanging wooden bridge over the Rupit River that leads you into the village. That sounds pretty unique, right? Not just a bridge, but a visual feature, maybe adds a bit of adventure crossing it.
Yeah.
There's also the Church of St. Michael, dating back partly to the 12th century, adding that historical depth. And for active types, you can hike to the nearby Sault de Sang waterfall for apparently breathtaking views.
Okay, let's unpack this. A hanging bridge into a medieval village, plus a waterfall nearby. That sounds like something out of a fairy tale. Rupit seems to blend that historic atmosphere with some really cool natural features. Getting there means flying into Barcelona El Prat, then it's about a 90-minute drive. So compared to some others on the list, it's actually fairly accessible from a major city like Barcelona. Still feels tucked away enough to be a discovery, though.
And the food, being in Catalonia, focuses on traditional Catalan dishes. The source mentions escudella, which is a hearty meat and vegetable stew, sounds perfect after a hike, and butifarra, the Catalan sausage, often grilled. Trying these gives you a taste of Catalonia's distinct identity.
Rupit sounds like it offers that classic medieval European charm, but with those extra twists like the bridge and the waterfall. A place where you can soak up history but also get outdoors. It's maybe a different kind of hidden, less about extreme remoteness, more about being this specific, enchanting spot off the main routes.
Our seventh gem takes us out to the Greek islands specifically, Halki. And this one has a key feature that's increasingly attractive for people seeking real peace and quiet.
Ooh, intriguing. Yes, the source describes Halki as small, rustic, hilly, part of the Dodecanese Islands, just west of Rhodes, known for crystal clear water and nice neoclassical architecture. But, like you hinted, the big thing, the detail that really makes it stand out and is a huge draw, is that it's a car-free island. The report says life there moves to the rhythm of the sea. For anyone tired of traffic noise, car-free sounds like paradise.
Absolutely. If we connect this to the bigger picture, Halki offers that quintessential Greek island vibe, sparkling sea, charming harbor, whitewashed chapels, but crucially, without the noise and rush that cars bring to busier islands. Key things for travelers. Secluded beaches like Konya and Potamos. The source even notes some are only reachable on foot, hinting at a little adventure to find your own private spot. The main harbor, Nimborio, is the heart of things where the ferries dock, lined with tavernas, open-air bars, and those lovely neoclassical buildings. And beyond the port, there are hiking trails through the hills, past little chapels like Agios Nikolaos with its big bell tower. You can even hike up to the ruins of a knight's castle and explore an abandoned village called Chorio. So it's a mix of pure relaxation and gentle exploration.
Getting there definitely reinforces that island feeling. You fly into Rhodes, then you need to get a ferry from Camira Scala Port on Rhodes. It's about an hour by sea. That boat trip really adds to the sense of arriving somewhere separate and peaceful.
And the food. Predictably, on a Greek island with clear water, it's all about fresh seafood. The source highlights grilled octopus, a classic, and astracoma caronata, lobster with pasta. Yum. They emphasize the freshness, which is key, eating fish caught that day, looking out at the sea it came from.
Halki sounds like the perfect recipe for a genuinely peaceful, authentic Greek island escape. Being car-free must fundamentally change the atmosphere, encouraging you to slow down, walk, enjoy long meals, just really connect with the place. Sounds like somewhere you can truly switch off.
Right. Our eighth hidden gem brings us to the UK, specifically to Tenby in Wales.
Tenby. The report calls it a postcard-perfect harbour town in southwest Wales. That phrase alone creates a really lovely image, doesn't it?
It really does. Key features for visitors. Those amazing medieval 13th century walls that still surround the old town center. Very historic. Visually, the most striking thing they mention are the rows of pastel-colored houses lining the harbor, super colorful and photogenic, definitely contributing to that postcard look. Being coastal, Tenby has beautiful beaches too, part of the famous Pembrokeshire Coast Path, so great for relaxing or walking. Castle Beach is highlighted, with ruins of Tenby Castle right there on a headland overlooking everything. There's also a Tudor merchant's house for more history, and you can even take a boat trip out to Caldy Island, a nearby monastic island. Lots to do.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Tenby seems to pack a lot in. You've got the medieval history with the walls and castle, the super vibrant harbor houses, lovely beaches for chilling or hiking, and an island trip option. It's quite a diverse offering in one place. Getting there involves flying into Cardiff, Wales main airport, then it's about a 2-hour drive, maybe 150 kilometers, mostly on the M4 and A48. So reachable by road from a regional hub, making it a good base for exploring that coast.
And for local food in Tenby, the source suggests trying traditional Welsh dishes. Things like cawl, a hearty lamb, and vegetable stew sounds perfect after a walk on the coast path. And bora brith, the traditional fruit loaf, usually serves sliced with butter. Nice local flavors to seek out.
Tenby sounds like a great mix of history, stunning coastal scenery, and that charming, colorful vibe from the harbor houses. Lots of activities, from history buffs to beach lovers, making it a really appealing UK spot that fits that hidden gem idea, well known within Wales, perhaps, but less so internationally.
Okay, we're on to the final two places on this list now. And these two really stand out for their unique natural attractions, finishing the report with destinations shaped by powerful natural forces.
First of these final two is Saturnia, back in Italy again, but a totally different vibe from Bosa or Nesso. This is Tuscany.
Yes, Saturnia is famous as a spa town in Tuscany. The report calls it one of the best hidden gems in Italy. And it mentions it's been inhabited since ancient times, which tells you its main draw has been appealing for millennia.
And that main draw, the reason people go, is the natural hot springs. Specifically, the source focuses on the Cascate del Molino, the waterfall of the mill. These are those incredibly famous, picturesque thermal waters cascading down limestone terraces, forming natural pools. You see photos everywhere. It's a totally unique natural spa experience in a beautiful setting. Besides the springs, the medieval town center itself has history to explore, old streets and buildings, and the report notes nearby archaeological sites, too, for those interested in the area's ancient past.
What's fascinating here is
Yeah.
how the town's whole identity is tied to this natural feature that people have valued for thousands of years.
Yeah.
It's not some modern spa complex. People have been coming for these specific waters forever. Getting there usually means flying into Rome Fiumicino, then driving up into the Tuscan countryside. It's about a 2-hour drive, roughly 150 kilometers on the A12 and SS1 roads. So reachable from a major airport, but that drive into a specific, slightly remote part of Tuscany definitely contributes to its hidden gem status compared to, say, Florence or Siena.
And being in Tuscany, the food is bound to be amazing. The report suggests trying classic Tuscan dishes, things like pisin, that thick hand-rolled pasta, often with rich sauces, very rustic and satisfying. And acquacotta, cooked water, but actually a hearty vegetable soup, traditionally peasant food, often with bread and eggs. Sounds delicious. Really highlights Tuscany's amazing food culture, adding another layer beyond just the hot springs.
Saturnia really offers this unique package. Natural beauty, serious relaxation thanks to the thermal springs, and deep history from its ancient roots in medieval town. It's a perfect example of a hidden gem providing a very specific, rejuvenating experience tied directly to the landscape. You're literally soaking in history and nature.
And finally, the 10th hidden gem on the list. We're heading somewhere totally different, incredibly dramatic, Vik on Iceland's south coast.
Vik, it's a small village but known worldwide, really, for its setting on Iceland's dramatic south coast. As the source notes, it's famous for those incredible black sand beaches and the huge sea stacks rising out of the ocean nearby. Instantly recognizable Iceland.
The report actually quotes EBD about Vik, saying something like, Vik reminds us that sometimes the edge of the world is the beginning of something extraordinary. That perfectly captures that feeling you get in Iceland, right? Raw nature on full display. Key things for travelers. Obviously, the black sand beaches, especially Reyniscara, visually stunning with the dark sand, basalt columns, crashing waves. Then the Reynisdrangar sea stacks, those jagged rock formations just offshore full of folklore. The little Vic Myrtle Church on the hill overlooking it all is another classic photo spot. And the nearby Deerholy Promontory gives panoramic views and is great for bird watching, maybe even puffins depending on the season. It's all about that dramatic, wild nature.
Getting there means flying into Keflavik near Reykjavik, Iceland's main airport. Then it's a pretty significant drive along Route 1, the Ring Road. About 2.5 hours, maybe 180 kilometers. Even though it's on the main highway, it's a fair distance from the capital, needing a dedicated road trip. That journey itself, driving through Iceland's landscapes, is part of the experience, adding to that feeling of heading somewhere remote and wild.
And for local food in Vik, or that area, you can try Icelandic specialties, like plakfiskar, a comforting fish stew, usually whitefish, potatoes, onions served with rye bread, and skyr, of course, that unique Icelandic dairy product, like thick yogurt, often with berries, distinctive tastes of Iceland.
Vik just embodies the appeal of those huge, powerful, untamed landscapes. It's for travelers drawn to raw nature, amazing geology, who want that feeling of being somewhere truly extraordinary, almost like the edge of the world, the quote mentioned. The black sand, the basalt, the sheer scale of it all, it's visually stunning and a totally different kind of experience from anywhere else on this list. Profoundly memorable.
Wow. Okay, stepping back and looking at this whole list, we've really covered some ground, haven't we? Tiny islands, mountain villages, coastal towns, spa destinations. Such variety.
It's fascinating, yeah. Synthesizing what this report highlights, the common threads making these hidden gems really stand out are, I think, first, authenticity. They feel like real places. This is often helped by them being a bit more remote or just needing a bit more effort to get to compared to the big hubs. Each one has something really unique, natural or historical, that makes it special. It's not just about being somewhere. It's about experiencing something specific. And fundamentally, they offer travel away from the main tourist crush. Access is a factor, as the report shows, often needing a car, a regional flight, a ferry. But that difficulty, that friction, is probably part of what's kept them special. It preserved their character.
So, bringing it back to you, the listener, what does this all mean for you? If you're planning your next European trip and you're thinking, I want something different this time, something more authentic, less crowded, more connected, well, this list from the EBD report is a fantastic starting point. This deep dive on the TourAI podcast, we've tried to pull out the practical stuff from the source, how to actually get there, what to see, what unique local food to try. The idea is to give you concrete bits to start planning trips that are really unique to you, whether you love history, nature, food, or just want to find some peace away from the crowds.
Yeah, those details on food, for example, they're more than just lists. They're tips for really diving into the local culture through taste. And knowing the specific travel logistics, the roads, the ferries, that's essential for actually making a trip happen to these slightly off-the-beaten-path places. This deep dive is meant to be a useful guide in that sense.
It really feels like this report gives you a blueprint to build your own kind of European adventure, one that maybe doesn't follow the standard script.
Which leads to an interesting thought, building on what the source hinted at. It mentioned remoteness helps preserve these places. And that quote about Vik being the edge of the world captures the appeal of finding somewhere untouched. But here's the question. As more people, maybe inspired by reports like this one, start seeking out these hidden gems precisely because they're authentic and uncrowded, does that growing popularity inevitably threaten the very things that made them special? Or is this just how travel evolves? Is the search for unspoiled places simply the next phase where travelers redefine value, moving from ticking off landmarks to seeking deeper experiences and connections? It's something to think about for the future of travel, isn't it?
That's a really interesting point to mull over as you maybe start dreaming about Bosa's colors or Vic's black sand. We've taken a deep dive into Europe's 10 best hidden gems for 2025, drawing on that European Best Destinations report via Forbes. Hopefully this chat has sparked some exciting ideas and giving you some practical pointers for planning a different kind of European journey.
Yeah, we definitely encourage you to explore these places. Further, look up some pictures, see what resonates. Think about what you truly value in a travel experience. Is it the big icons, or maybe the quiet magic of a place that feels a little bit like a secret?
Thank you for listening to the TourAI Podcast.